closing you down, effective immediately.
What? This can't be right. I passed inspection last month with a perfect score.
Maybe you got lucky before.
Lucky? I've been running this bakery for 3 years. I follow every regulation. What violations?
Improper food storage, inadequate sanitation, temperature control issues.
Show me. Show me one thing that's wrong.
It's all documented. You have 24 hours.
24 hours? This is my whole life. My customers...
Should have maintained proper standards.
I do maintain proper standards. My refrigerator is at 39 degrees. You saw it.
Ma'am, lower your voice.
I'm trying to understand.
You can file an appeal. Numbers on the form.
Officer Brennan had no idea Maria's security cameras recorded everything. Every word, every lie, every falsified number. A few hours earlier, Maria stood behind the counter of Sweet Grace Bakery at 5:30 in the morning. She was tired. Her hands ached from kneading dough since 3 a.m. But when she looked around her shop, she felt something else. Pride. The morning light came through the window. It hit the glass cases full of fresh bread. Golden brown croissants, chocolate muffins still warm from the oven. This was her dream, her life's work. She'd opened this bakery 3 years ago with every dollar she'd saved, every penny from 2 decades of working in other people's kitchens. The bell above the door chimed. "Good morning," Maria smiled. A regular customer walked in. Mrs. Patterson, white hair, kind eyes. "Maria, honey, 2 of your cinnamon rolls, please." "Coming right up." Maria wrapped them carefully. Mrs. Patterson paid and left with a wave. Then Maria saw him. A police car pulled up outside. Her stomach tightened. She told herself it was nothing. Police came in for coffee all the time. But this officer didn't come in right away. He sat in his car, watching, writing something. Finally, he got out. Officer Brennan. She'd seen him around the neighborhood before. He never smiled, never made eye contact with her. The bell chimed again. "Morning, officer. Can I get you something?" He didn't answer her greeting. He looked around the shop slowly. His eyes scanned every corner, every surface. "I'm here for a health inspection," he said. Maria's heart sank. "An inspection? I had one last month. We passed with perfect marks. This is a follow-up. Nobody called me. Nobody scheduled anything." He pulled out a clipboard. "I don't need to schedule. This is a random check. Health code allows it." Maria wiped her hands on her apron. "Of course, look around. Everything is clean." She'd spent hours last night scrubbing every surface. She always did. Officer Brennan walked behind the counter without asking. Maria stepped back. She didn't want any confrontation. He opened her refrigerator. He checked the temperature gauge. 39 degrees, Maria said. "Perfect temperature, just like the regulations say." He didn't respond. He moved to the prep area, ran his finger along the edge of the counter, looked at his finger, wrote something on his clipboard. "What are you writing?" Maria asked. "Cleanliness issues." "What issues? I clean everything twice a day." He pointed to a tiny spot near the sink. Grease buildup. Maria leaned closer. It was one drop, one tiny drop of oil from this morning's baking. "That's from 5 minutes ago. I was about to wipe it down." Health code says surfaces must be maintained clean at all times. Her voice stayed calm, professional. "Sir, that's not reasonable. I'm actively cooking. I clean as I go, but when you walk in while I'm working, of course there might be..." "Are you arguing with me?" The question hung in the air. Maria felt something cold in her chest. She knew that tone. She'd heard it before. Many times in her life. It was the tone that said, "Know your place." "No, sir, I'm just explaining." He moved to the back storage room. Maria followed him. He looked at her supplies, her flour, her sugar. Everything was in sealed containers. Everything was labeled. Everything was organized. She'd learned from the best bakers. She'd taken classes. She'd gotten every certification. He opened a bag of flour. "This isn't sealed." "I opened it this morning. I'm using it right now, that's why." Health code requires all ingredients to be sealed when not in active use. "But I am actively using it." He wrote something else on his clipboard. Maria's hands started to shake. She clasped them together. "Officer Brennan, I've been running this bakery for 3 years. I've never had a violation. Never. The health department gave me a perfect score last month. You can check their records." He turned to face her. His face was blank. No emotion. Things change, he said. Standards change. Maybe you got lucky before. Got lucky. The words hit her like a slap. She hadn't gotten lucky. She'd worked 16-hour days. She'd studied. She'd practiced. She'd failed and tried again. She'd burned her fingers learning to time the ovens perfectly. She'd spent nights figuring out recipes. She'd gotten up at 3 a.m. every single day for 3 years. That wasn't luck. Ever been told your success was just luck? Yeah, me too. Drop a comment if someone ever dismissed your hard work like that. But she couldn't say any of that because she knew how this worked. If she pushed back too hard, if she showed anger, she'd be called aggressive, difficult, threatening. She'd learned that lesson long ago. So she took a breath. What do I need to fix? He handed her a paper. She looked at it, her eyes widened. This says I have to close down immediately. That's correct. For what? For 1 drop of oil? For an open flour bag I'm currently using? Multiple violations, it's all listed there. Maria read the list. Improper food storage, inadequate sanitation, temperature control issues. None of it was true. None of it. This isn't right. These aren't real violations. My refrigerator was at the exact right temperature. You saw it yourself. The gauge could be faulty. It was just calibrated last week. I have the receipt. I'm noting it as a potential issue. Maria felt tears starting to form. She blinked them back. Please, this bakery is my whole life. I have customers depending on me. Mrs. Patterson comes here every morning. Mr. Chen orders his daughter's birthday cake from me. The church down the street orders all their Sunday pastries. Then you should have maintained proper standards. I do maintain proper standards. Her voice rose. She immediately regretted it. His expression hardened. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to lower your voice. She took a breath. I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand. Can you please explain exactly what I did wrong? Because I follow every rule. I have all the certifications. I've made my assessment. You can appeal it. There's a number on the form. How long will an appeal take? Could be weeks, maybe months. Months? I can't be closed for months. I'll lose everything. He put his clipboard under his arm. Should have thought of that before letting your standards slip. He walked toward the door. Maria followed him. Officer Brennan, please. Just look again. I'll fix anything you want right now. Anything. Just tell me what. He turned around. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Was it guilt? Discomfort? It disappeared quickly. I saw what I saw, he said. You have 24 hours to close down. After that, if you're still operating, you'll face fines. Possible criminal charges. Criminal charges for baking bread. The door chimed as he left. Maria stood there. The morning sun still came through the window. The croissants were still golden. The chocolate muffins still smelled perfect. But everything had changed. Maria didn't sleep that night. She sat at her small kitchen table in her apartment above the bakery. The closing notice was in front of her. She'd read it 20 times. She'd called the appeals number, got a recording, left a message. No one called back. She'd called the health department main line. They said Officer Brennan's inspection was valid. They said she could file a formal complaint, but it would take time to investigate. How much time? They couldn't say. She thought about her mother. Her mother had worked as a maid for 40 years, cleaning other people's houses. She'd come home with her back aching, her hands raw from chemicals. But she'd smiled at Maria. You're going to do something better, baby. You're going to have your own business. Be your own boss. Maria had promised her, and she'd done it. She'd saved money. She'd learned the trade. She'd found this location. She'd named it Sweet Grace after her mother, Grace Williams. The strongest woman Maria had ever known. Grace had died 2 years ago. She'd been so proud of the bakery. She'd sat in that corner booth every morning, drinking coffee, watching customers come in. See, she'd say to Maria, you did it. You proved them all wrong. Proved who wrong? Everyone who said a black woman from our neighborhood couldn't make it. Everyone who said you should just find a good job working for someone else. You showed them. Maria wiped her eyes. What would her mother say now? She knew exactly what she'd say. Get up, fight back. Don't let them take what's yours. But how? Maria looked at the violations list again. Really looked at it. Something felt off. The dates were wrong. The form said the inspection happened at 6 a.m., but Officer Brennan didn't arrive until almost 6:30. She checked the security camera timestamp. Why would he write the wrong time? And the temperature reading for her refrigerator, he'd written 45 degrees, but she'd seen the gauge. It was 39. She had proof of that too. Her cameras. She'd installed them last year after a break-in attempt in the neighborhood. Maria grabbed her laptop. She pulled up the security footage. She watched the whole inspection again. And there it was, Officer Brennan looking at the refrigerator gauge. The gauge clearly showed 39 degrees. But he wrote 45 on his report. He lied. He deliberately lied. Why? Maria didn't open this bakery the next morning, for the first time in 3 years. Instead, she made phone calls. She called Mr. Harawasu, a lawyer she'd met at church. He listened to her story. Maria, this is serious. False reporting by a police officer. If you have video evidence, we have a case. But will anyone care? Will anyone believe me over a cop? People will care if we make them care. We need to show this to the right people. The mayor's office, the local news, the health department supervisors. Maria's stomach churned. I don't want trouble. I just want to open my bakery again. I know, but sometimes you have to make some noise to get justice, Strauss. She called Mrs. Patterson, the kind elderly woman who bought cinnamon rolls every morning. Maria, I went by your shop today. It was closed. Is everything okay? Maria told her what happened. There was a long silence. That's not right, Mrs. Patterson said. Her voice was firm. That's not right at all. What can I do? I don't know if there's anything. Listen to me. I've lived in this neighborhood for 53 years. I know a lot of people. I know the city council members. I know the newspaper editor. And I know you run the cleanest bakery I've ever seen. Thank you, but no buts. I'm making some calls. You're not alone in this. Maria felt something loosen in her chest. Maybe she wasn't alone. By that afternoon, Mrs. Patterson had called 6 other regular customers. They all showed up at Maria's bakery, not to buy anything, to talk. Mr. Chen was there. His family owned the restaurant down the street. This happened to my father, he said, 20 years ago. Different inspector, same story, made up violations, tried to shut us down. It took us months to fight it. What did you do? We documented everything. We fought back. But it was hard. It cost money. It cost time. And you know what? The inspector never faced any real consequences. Father Michael from the church came too. Maria, I'll be honest with you. This is going to be difficult, but it's also important. Not just for you, for everyone. If Officer Brennan can do this to you, he can do it to anyone. Maria looked at all these people in her closed bakery, different ages, different backgrounds, all of them angry on her behalf. I'm scared, she said quietly. Mrs. Patterson took her hand. Of course you are, but you are also strong. I've watched you build this place from nothing. You work harder than anyone I know, and you're kind to everyone who walks through that door. Being kind didn't stop this from happening. No, it didn't. But it did build you a community, and we're here now. The next day, Maria and Mr. Harrison went to the police station. They asked to speak to Officer Brennan's supervisor, Sergeant Davis. He was a large man, tired eyes, gray hair. He listened to their story. He watched the security footage on Maria's laptop. His expression didn't change much. This is a serious accusation, he said. It's a serious situation, Mr. Harrison replied. That video clearly shows the refrigerator temperature at 39 degrees. Officer Brennan reported it as 45. That's falsifying an official report. Officer Brennan is a 20-year veteran, excellent record. That doesn't mean he can lie in inspection reports. Sergeant Davis shifted in his chair. Look, I'll talk to him, get his side of the story, but these things are complicated. Maybe he misread the gauge. Maybe the lighting was bad. Maybe he targeted Miss Williams because she's black and he didn't think she'd fight back, Mr. Harrison said. The words hung in the air. Sergeant Davis's face tightened. That's a serious charge. Do you have any evidence of racial motivation? I have evidence that he lied, Maria said. Her voice was steady now. I have evidence that my bakery met every single health code requirement. I have evidence that he wrote false information on an official government document. Isn't that enough? Sergeant Davis looked at her, really looked at her. For a moment, Maria thought she saw something in his eyes. Recognition, maybe, understanding. I'll investigate, he said. Give me a week. A week? Maria stood up. I've already lost 2 days of business. Every day I'm closed, I lose money. I have rent to pay, suppliers to pay. I have employees who depend on their paychecks. A week is too long. It's the best I can do. Maria didn't wait for the police to investigate. She went to the local newspaper. The reporter was young, eager. A woman named Jessica. This is a great story, Jessica said. Local business owner fights back against corrupt cop. Can I see the footage? Maria showed her everything. Jessica's eyes widened. This is clear as day. He straight up lied. Why would he do that? I don't know. Have you had any problems with him before? Any disputes? No, I'd never even spoken to him before that morning. Did he say anything? Anything that might indicate why he targeted you? Maria thought back. The way he'd looked around her shop. The way he'd said, maybe you got lucky before. The way he'd refused to listen to her explanations. I think he didn't believe I deserved to have this bakery. I think he looked at me and saw someone who didn't belong here. Jessica nodded slowly. I'm going to write the story, but I have to tell you something. When I publish it, there will be backlash. People will defend Officer Brennan. They'll say, you're playing the race card. They'll say you're trying to get out of real violations. I know. Are you ready for that? Maria thought about her mother, Grace Williams, who'd cleaned houses for 40 years, who'd faced disrespect every single day, who'd smiled through it all because she had to, who'd told Maria, you're going to do something better. I'm ready, Maria said. The article came out 2 days later. Front page of the local section. Baker claims racial bias in bogus health inspection. The story included the security footage screenshots. It included statements from Maria's regular customers. It included the fact that Maria had passed her last inspection with perfect marks just 1 month ago. It also included a statement from the police department. We take all accusations seriously and are conducting a thorough investigation. That was it. No comment from Officer Brennan. No real acknowledgement of wrongdoing. Maria's phone started ringing within an hour. Some calls were supportive. We're with you. Stay strong. This is exactly what's wrong with this city. But some calls were angry. You're destroying a good cop's reputation. Stop playing the victim. Maybe if you actually kept your bakery clean, this wouldn't have happened. Maria stopped answering the phone, but the story kept spreading. It got picked up by the regional news. Then the national news. Suddenly, Sweet Grace Bakery was everywhere. People started showing up outside her clothes shop. Some held signs, Justice for Maria. Some held signs, Support our police. The neighborhood was divided. On day 7, Sergeant Davis called Maria. Can you come to the station? Bring your lawyer. They sat in the same office, but this time Officer Brennan was there too. He wouldn't look at Maria. Sergeant Davis cleared his throat. We've completed our investigation. Officer Brennan has admitted to certain inaccuracies in his report. Inaccuracies? Mr. Harrison's voice was sharp. He lied. Officer Brennan finally spoke. I misread the temperature gauge. His voice was flat. The lighting was dim. I thought it said 45. It was an honest mistake. What about the timestamp? Maria asked. You wrote 6 a.m. You didn't arrive until 6:30. I have footage. I must have written down the wrong time. I was confused. And the grease buildup that was actually 1 drop from active cooking? Silence. Officer Brennan, Sergeant Davis said, do you have anything else to say to Ms. Williams? Another long silence. Then quietly, I may have been overzealous in my assessment. I apologize. May have been overzealous. Not, I targeted you. Not, I lied because I had a problem with you. Not, I tried to destroy your business because of my own prejudice. Just overzealous. Maria felt anger rising in her chest, but Mr. Harrison put a hand on her arm. What happens now? He asked Sergeant Davis. The health inspection report will be voided. Ms. Williams can reopen her bakery immediately. Officer Brennan will receive additional training on proper inspection procedures. Additional training? Maria's voice shook. That's it? He lied on an official report. He tried to shut down my business, and he gets training? Sergeant Davis looked uncomfortable. Ms. Williams, I understand your frustration, but Officer Brennan has served this community for 20 years. This is his first documented incident. Taking into account his record, the department has decided to protect one of their own, Maria said. We're trying to be fair to everyone? Fair, Maria stood up. Fair would be treating Officer Brennan the way you'd treat me if I lied to a police officer. Fair would be acknowledging what really happened here. Fair would be... She stopped because she realized something. She was never going to get a full admission. She was never going to hear Officer Brennan say, I targeted you because you're black. She was never going to get real justice from this system. But maybe that wasn't the point anymore. Maybe the point was that she'd fought back. She'd refused to just accept it. She'd made them investigate. She'd made them void the report. She'd exposed what happened. And maybe that was enough. Not perfect, not what she deserved, but enough to move forward. Sweet Grace Bakery reopened the next day. The line went around the block. People Maria had never seen before. They'd read the story. They wanted to support her. Mrs. Patterson was first in line, as always. 2 cinnamon rolls? Maria asked, smiling. Make it 4. I'm celebrating. Mr. Chen came in. Father Michael, Jessica, the reporter, and others. So many others. Some were black, some were white, some were Asian, Hispanic, all different backgrounds. They all had one thing in common. They'd all been judged wrongly at some point. They'd all been treated unfairly. They'd all felt that helpless feeling of having no power to fight back. And they saw themselves in Maria's story. Around noon, the bell chimed. Maria looked up from the register. Her smile faded. Officer Brennan stood in the doorway. The shop went quiet. Everyone turned to look. He stood there awkwardly. He cleared his throat. I wanted to. Maria waited. He pulled out his wallet, put a $20 bill on the counter. Whatever that buys, keep the change. He turned to leave. Officer Brennan, Maria said. He stopped. She looked at him, really looked at him. She saw a man who'd made a choice, a terrible choice. Whether it was conscious racism or unconscious bias or just a bad day where he let his worst self win, it didn't matter. He'd made the choice to try to hurt her. But she had a choice too. She could be bitter, or she could be better. 2 chocolate croissants and a coffee, she said. That'll be $6. I'll get you the change. He looked at her, surprised. You don't have to. I know I don't have to, but that's what $20 buys here. So that's what you'll get. She made his coffee. She wrapped his croissants. She handed them to him with his change. Thank you, he said quietly. She nodded. He left. Mrs. Patterson came up to Maria. Honey, you're a bigger person than me. I would have told him where to go. Maria smiled. Maybe, but you know what? This bakery isn't about him anymore. It's not about what he tried to do to me. It's about what I built, what I'm building, and I'm not going to let anyone take that away. Not ever. She looked around her shop, at all the people there, at the bread she'd baked, at the life she'd created. I'm not going to let anger poison what I love, she continued. He tried to shut me down. He failed. I'm still here, and I'm going to keep being here. That's my victory. The shop erupted in applause. 3 months later, Sweet Grace Bakery was thriving. The publicity had brought new customers, but they stayed because the food was good, because Maria was kind, because the place felt like home. Maria expanded her menu. She hired 2 new employees, both young people from the neighborhood who needed a chance. One was a young black man who reminded her of her nephew. One was a young white woman fresh out of culinary school, struggling to find work. Maria trained them both. She taught them everything she knew. Why are you being so nice to us? The young woman asked one day. Most bosses aren't like this. Maria thought about the question. Because someone was nice to me once, she said, and because I remember what it feels like when people aren't. When they judge you before you open your mouth, when they assume you can't do something, when they don't give you a chance. Is that what happened with that cop? Yeah, that's what happened. That must have been awful. It was, but you know what? It also taught me something. It taught me that when you face something like that, you have two choices. You can let it make you smaller, or you can let it make you stronger. Which did you choose? Maria smiled. I chose to keep baking and to treat everyone who walks through that door with respect, even when they don't deserve it. Because that's who I am. Not because of them, because of me. One morning, almost a year after the inspection, Maria arrived at her bakery. There was an envelope taped to the door. She opened it. Inside was a letter. It was from the city council. They were honoring her as Small Business Owner of the Year for her contributions to the community, for her commitment to quality, for her resilience. Maria read the letter 3 times. She thought about calling her mother, then remembered she couldn't, but she felt her mother there anyway, felt her pride, felt her love. We did it, Mama, she whispered. We proved them wrong. The morning sun came through the window, hit the glass cases full of fresh bread, golden brown croissants, chocolate muffins still warm from the oven. Maria put on her apron, and she got to work. Because that's what she did. That's who she was. A baker, a business owner, a woman who'd been knocked down and got back up and kept going. Not because it was easy, but because it was right. And because this life, this bakery, this dream, this purpose was worth fighting for every single day. You know what? Stories like Maria's remind us that good people still win, that dignity matters, that standing up for yourself isn't just brave, it's necessary. We've got more stories coming your way. Drop a comment below and let me know what you thought. And if you've got a story of your own, a time you had to fight back or prove someone wrong, I'd be honored to read it. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next video.